It's finally here, the World of Warcraft Legion Remixed, the second installment of the remix experiment after the Mists of Pandaria remix, and I have to admit, I was pretty excited for it and I have spent the last week playing it. So join me as I revisit this beloved expansion for a new turbocharged experience. Originally released in 2016, coming off the back of a bit of a downturn for Blizzard in the form of some mid-expansions, obviously there is a fair amount of subjectivity in that statement, your mileage may vary, as they say. Warlords of Draenor in particular wasn't received well overall, and Legion was seen as a return to form. I never played it at release as I returned to the game for the tail end of the Battle for Azeroth, but over the remainder of that expansion and for the entirety of Shadowlands, I spent my time catching up with the past, leveling alts through the various time walking expansions, and while I liked many of them, I was immediately taken with the Broken Isles. The story was fine and everything, but to be honest, the world event quest system that exists in Legion means that whilst I did play through a lot of the campaign quests, I spent most of my time just charging about doing world quests, mindlessly engaging the casual questing grind loop while I just absorbed the surroundings. Like when I go to a museum, I don't necessarily want to read the little info cards, I don't want to actually know what's going on, I just want to have a little look about.
Let's have a little look about it!
And look about I did. I love the look and style of modern day World of Warcraft. It is a style unmatched and unique to itself and has a really strong aesthetic. OG WoW looked great at every other point in the game's history as it slowly updated itself expansion by expansion, but to me, Legion felt like the expansion I played through where I think the modern day aesthetic truly arrived. In particular, I remember being taken by the rich, vibrant autumnal leaves of the trees as I flew above Suramar. So now that I've had a good look about the war within since its release, it's now the perfect time to go back to the broken shores and drink in the atmosphere. So I start the game by creating my time-running character, and seeing as we're going back to the Broken Isles, I decide to be a magic crackhead, as it feels thematically satisfying. Once we are suitably named, we are ready to begin. Now, what is WoW Legion Remix exactly? Well, whilst you are playing through the Legion campaign in the Legion environment and all the quests that come with it, the story is slightly altered as you are sort of working for the Time People. And as a result of some wibbly wobbly timey wimey type shit, you wake up and you don't know what is going on, and then it's up and at 'em. So I load into the Dalaran starting area and set to work adding my action bars, and as I am continuing my chill guy one button casual crusade, I load the attack rotation on as well. Since I made a video about the one button rotation, I have continued to use it but in a more blended way. That being that I will have the rotation but keep a couple of attacks that I want to have a bit more control over on my hotbar as well. So a sort of half and half situation. Once set up, we grab the quest in front of us and off we go to clear out the Legion demons from the Dalaran streets. The other part of Legion Remix is that the whole leveling process is supercharged, so you'll gain levels incredibly fast. The new story, not that I really paid attention, is standard WoW time walking stuff, but the emphasis seems to be on a much more casual experience, and I am always down for getting casual. I kill demons and follow quests, and eventually after we have done sufficient chores we are handed our Legion artifact by the Time Walkers. At this point I kinda felt a bit confused as to where to go next after that. Do I just play through the original expansion campaign quests? Maybe I missed something, but I kinda bungle around and then sort of end up finding myself on the quest to get a Lunath. Again. What's going on? But then, good old ADHD kicks in and I decide that maybe I should create a different character. Maybe I don't want to be an arcane mage. Maybe I'll be Ta-da! So once again I set up my action bars and my blended one button system, sounds less pathetic when I call it that, and we go again. I have chosen a Death Knight because I haven't leveled one of those to max, and I have always found them a bit unwieldy to me. But I die, and then ADHD strikes again, so once again we create character, enter Dalaran and set up my action bars and skills, and then get to slaying again. See, because the Remix leveling experience is so much faster than normal leveling, which, let's be honest, leveling in retail is already crazy fast as it is, I feel like as an altaholic this is the perfect opportunity to complete my collection, as it were, and turbo level classes that I don't have at max level. If it's like Mist of Pandora Remix, then you get to keep your character once the time walking period is over. So with that thought seeding in my brain, I get distracted and ADHD Attack 3 happens, replete with customary action bar and skill setup, and I start fucking about. But before long, ADHD Attack 4 happens and the cycle repeats itself once again. So now I have 4 or 5 time walking characters? I don't know. And I still haven't got off Dalaran. And I'm starting to become irritated by the fact that my fucked brain has wasted an hour fart-arsing about with all these alts. So along comes ADHD Attack number 5 or 6 and go all the way back to the beginning and log back into Dream Blast and settle on the Arcane Mage, even though it feels a bit crap at this low level. I mill about aimlessly, and whatever I do I eventually end up in the Infinite Bazaar, and this is the true hub of Remix and where the true purpose lies. Old Dragon Balls sits on his plinth giving out infinite quests, and it is these quests that you want to focus on. They are variations on collect this many of that, kill this many demons or elite enemies, you know, standard WoW stuff. But you go out into the Broken Isles and use all the quest lines and world quests to complete them. All these quests give you a currency, bronze, which you can then spend around the bazaar on time-limited mounts and skins. As well as currency, gear drops have been replaced with what I assume are essentially random geared chests that you open and see what you have inside. This is where things get a little bit more ARPG, as you are sort of showered in loot, which is nice. And all of that gear that you don't need, you can yeet it into the Magic Forge and turn it into more bronze to spend on more stuff. Seeing as we are talking about skins and stuff, obviously your fashion game is gonna have to be on point, and the nice thing here is that all your transmogs are completely free. So let's get a quick fit check. A boom bam. But whilst it is totally riztacular that you can get your fashion game on, there is a slight annoyance if you are like me and your ADHD is triggered if your outfit doesn't match, and that is that you're showered in so much gear that you are almost continuously opening them and equipping the higher level item. So you'll leave the bazaar and head out into the world for a bit of a tear up, and upon filling in some slag over in Val Shara, drip to fuck in your finest threads, and then you pick up a better piece of gear and you're instantly now wearing a shit helmet that doesn't match. I should really invest in one of those transmog mounts. Anyway, I think the whole setup makes the experience even more theme park than normal. Like you're here to just fuck about in this world while you buy limited time mounts or skins, enjoying the nostalgia as you go. Like a special Halloween event at Chessington World of Adventure or something. You'd go there normally, sure, but it just feels a little bit more fun on a special occasion. Like the saying goes, you're here for a good time, not a long time. Let's talk about the abilities that you get and how they can interact with your Legion artifact. But oh no, here comes ADHD Attack number 5 or 6, or is it 7? I've lost track now, and as I've been playing for a while now on my mage, my brain gets a little bored and my fingers get a little itchy, so I create a paladin. For what I know not why, as I already have a couple of paladins, but who am I to question my own brain? I run through the usual setup and then I barely get into Dalaran before I have a burst of indecision and I log out and back into my mage to carry on leveling. ADHD Attack 8? And speaking about carrying on, where was I? Oh yes, skills. So the deluge of gear that you are served when literally doing anything all come with a number of different skills that will trigger supplementary effects whilst you are attacking. In the main, I got a bit obsessed with this magic disc thing that you throw out like a frisbee and it boomerangs back to you, just to mix up your throwing things. Each time you throw it out, it travels in an arc, and the idea is to maneuver yourself as to intercept it on its way back, and if you do, you can immediately send it back out again, and each time it hits, it does massive damage and it will travel through enemies, so it's good for packs. There are defensive skills like this one that allows you to either stand still in combat and generate a shield, or generate a shield as you move backwards. The standing still one was better for me. I am incredibly lazy after all, but I found little applicable use for the movement based one, as you can't actually attack whilst you're using it. Perhaps a favourite of mine is the bizarre Terror from the Deep, which sends out a little water wave blob thing, and then when it hits the enemy, a fucking shark just rises from the earth and chomps your victim. If you're fighting a flying enemy, you can literally see the full shark, and it wasn't until this happened that I even realised that that was even what was happening. I probably should start reading the descriptions, but no, well, whatever. The point is that all these skills exist on your equipment when they are randomly dropped, and they also appear on the artifact skill tracks alongside stat boosting nodules, so you can choose which track and therefore one set of abilities to spend points on. Hence I chose the disc. This track also has the shield on it as well, so as you progress along that track, you will fill out these skills as well. But because you get the skills on your gear, you can actually have multiple skills active that actually exist in the other tracks. It is just that if you collect gear with the same skills as you've actually spent the points on, you can sort of push the bonuses beyond the limit of what you can spend points on. Or at least that's how it appeared to me. Tell me if I'm wrong. So you can kind of overclock these skills themselves. Time for a costume change. Introducing the sultry Broken Isles Cheeky Goth Girl's Day Out. The graceful cut of the threads, the alluring heart motifs and the playful short skirt, all complemented by a lovely big pair of boots from Cyberdog and Camden. A truly effortless look that works for any occasion. And why not take advantage of those free transmogs? Just for some nostalgia feels, I go and do some questing in the city of Suramar, which I always like. Again, I really think Legion has some great zones, and this is one of them. As I fuck about in Suramar, this naturally leads to one of my favourite quest lines from the expansion, and that is helping the magic crackheads set up their freaky little magic crack den. And this brings me to some minor gripes, which are barely gripes but worth mentioning I guess, but that is that the game is a bit janky and buggy, or at least it was. There were lag issues for many people, and in particular for me, the magic crackhead questline was bugged and I couldn't feed the crackhead magic crack. He just sort of laid on the floor, being all addicted to magic crack and stuff.
Tell you what, that crack is really Moorish.
So sadly I had to abandon that for the time being, but it was fixed later on and I came back and fed him his crack. There, lovely crack. I was really starting to enjoy my arcane mage, and in particular the ability to make clones of myself. It really gave me Guild Wars 2 Mesmer vibes. That'll be the next video when Visions of Eternity releases in a few days from when I am writing this, so keep an eye out for that. It's fit check time again, and this time we are going with our night out at the Swingers Party pervert evening wear selection. Nothing states your intention like showing the world your nipples.
Blasting bare chest the whole time. What do you think?
Now I have moaned a bit in the past in other videos about the fact that the levelling in WoW retail is a bit too fast, compared to the experience you get in Classic where the slower pace does give you a better feeling of progression. I mean, I know that if you are progressing faster then technically that constitutes more progression, but it doesn't have the same weight to it, the same sense of meaning. Now Classic does reach a point, to my mind, around the mid-30s where things start to perhaps get a little too slow. But even that might be preferable to the sort of emptiness of just dinging off levels left, right and centre. So why then in fact do I actually really enjoy the even faster levelling in REMIX? I think it kind of has something to do with the whole special event vibe, meaning it sort of sets it apart from the standard experience, providing distance and creating a different attitude towards it. I also think that it is a little bit like how I feel about roguelikes, in as much as that type of game perfectly lays out the rules of engagement and then manages your expectations appropriately towards the concepts of death and loss. Like when you die in, say, a classic old school type mmorpg where there are penalties upon death, or any type of game with penalties on death, I kind of get a bit fucked off with the setback. But in a roguelike, a type of game that you could logically argue has the biggest setback of all, i.e. you literally start over from the beginning and lose everything, but it doesn't feel that bad because that is what I am expecting to happen. That's the point. So I don't feel annoyed when I play roguelikes at all. I think there is a similar thing at play here. My expectations have been set by the game to experience this in a way it is intended, at breakneck speed and extremely casually. I don't know, I just found myself really enjoying the frictionless experience of being overpowered, dinging the dopamine bell continuously. But that isn't to suggest there isn't a challenge available. Stop, fit check. Maybe you're going out foraging in the verdant slopes of High Mountain, or just pottering around the greenhouse planting some lovely courgettes, zucchini to my American friends, howdy y'all. Or maybe you just have to coordinate your outfit with your new fell-themed green flying disc, this summer's hot new accessory. And do pick up all the special green fell mounts while stocks last. So back to the issue of challenge, and that is handled in the form of the ability to turn on the heroic world tier. Now everything you encounter in the wild is now considerably tougher. I have dipped in and out of this mode, but to be honest, that isn't what I am here for. But I agree with Belilar's take, which is that you could actually level in this mode for a more WoW classic kind of experience, and there may well be some truth about that. It does, however, if you try this, tell you that this is meant for you to take on around level 25. But what do they know? I found that I would actually have to heal after encounters with a single enemy when I was in Heroic, so that tracks with my experience of Classic, and so I think I will probably have a go at levelling the bovine paladin I made this way. So if you are a Chad gamer, then you can get the challenge you need. I reached level 70, and on top of your remix skills and your standard talents, you also have your hero talents as you would do in the modern version of the game. So you have considerably more oomph and tricks up your Batman utility belt than you had the last time you were bowling about in the Broken Isles. Just all part of that juiced experience. Another small bout of ADHD sees me switching to the Sun Fury hero talents, and this proves to be lots of fun. Plus you get magic orbs floating above your head, so a win from an aesthetic perspective as well. What self-respecting mage wouldn't want magic orbs above his head? For the next period of play, I just relax and enjoy the frictionless experience as I have something on the TV and I just casually go about collecting and breaking down gear, popping back to change outfits and buy some more cosmetics, and I run through a few dungeons as well. All good fun, all of the time. What the raiding scene will be like, given the significantly boosted characters and skills, I have no idea, but I imagine it's going to put a bit of a fresh slant on proceedings. It's not necessarily my thing, but maybe that is really the point of all this turbocharged levelling. To get you into that position as soon as possible, so you can spend as much time doing that before the timer runs out and Legion Remix finishes and we all go back to kicking about Azeroth like we used to. I think that these experiments, these seasonal ARPG style events and timed exclusives and whatnot, is probably a glimpse at the direction of travel, and I think it is a good thing. The developers have always wanted to try and keep you in the world and keep you playing, so more events like this, more variety, is probably the way to do it. Could this also be how they can re-engage with the world again? As I have said about Classic, the original zones and 2 continents of Azeroth are still some of the best, and it does sometimes feel like a real shame that everyone is mostly crammed into latest expansion. I feel like there are other things they should do to promote revisiting old zones as well as these past expansion remixes. But these are a good start and do put the fun back in. What with stuff like this and player housing on the horizon, it does feel like there could be enough modes of play to properly suit everyone, even indecisive ADHD heads like myself, and I look forward to Blizzard flexing their creativity in the future and tapping into some of that seasonal experience they have from their other releases. So WoW Legion Remix. As I said before, it's here for a good time, not a long time. Right, I'm off to level me paladin through the heroic tier. Or not. Thank you for watching everyone, and more importantly, we have reached the 500 sub mark and are now a YouTube partner. So I better get thinking about what I might offer for memberships and start creating some merch and stuff, so keep an eye out for that, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.